Grit Picks.
All right, Jacob. Thursday Night Football this week. Got a division opponent we can watch who we just played, the Packers. The Commanders come to Lambeau Field. Packers are 3.5-point favorites. Who do you have in this game?
I think this is going to be a good game. The Packers obviously coming off a huge win against us. The Commanders are coming off a win against the Giants. Commanders did not exactly show out as much as people were expecting. So I think Washington's really going to need to try to get it going offensively. It's going to be a close game. You know, Packers just already played at home, back-to-back home games to start off the season. I'm going to say that Sainer still gets a pick off Jordan Love, and I'm going to say that Washington wins the game.
Oh, you're going with the Commanders. I like it. And that's who I'll be rooting for. However, I look for the Packers to keep their streak going. You know, they get 2 home games to start off the season. That means that they're going to have, a stretch. I haven't looked, that much in their schedule, but they're going to have a stretch of, a lot of road games at some point, probably 3 in a row at some point. If you're starting out with 2 games on the, at home early. All right. Sunday Night Football, another division opponent, man. Our NFC North just getting all these primetime games. Monday Night Football, we had the 4 o'clock game. Now they're starting off with Thursday Night Football and Sunday Night Football. Falcons go to Minnesota. I, unfortunately, am picking Minnesota to win this game. JJ got, Offensive Player of the Week in week 1. That's crazy to me. And stats weren't that outrageous, but he, after he threw that pick 6, he was a different quarterback, and I mean, showed you some real resiliency. I don't know if I said that right or not, but you know what I'm talking about. So good for JJ. It was a division game, so honestly, it wasn't that big a deal. But any other time, I'm probably not rooting for him to come back because we just want Minnesota to lose. We want our division to lose. Who do you got, Atlanta or Minnesota?
Right. So Kirk Cousins, back in Minnesota as the backup quarterback and an afterthought, right? So, J.J. McCarthy played a huge part in that comeback win for the Vikings last week against the Bears. The Falcons had a pretty hard-fought game against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers came back and beat them, right at the end. So the Falcons are going to definitely be hungry to try to get one back. I do still have the Vikings winning this one. Vikings are at home. Vikings still look like they're going to be a pretty good team. Kind of, offense lives and dies with J.J. McCarthy. See if he can do what Sam Darnold did, and I think he's only going to get better every week. But you're right. It's hard to root for a divisional opponent to try to win any games. It was a great feeling to see him come back and beat the Bears. I was all for that. I was loving that. I was proud of him. Michigan man, let's go. But yeah, they can start losing and falling off the division now.
Exactly. All right. Next game, Tampa Bay Bucks at Houston Texans. There's 2 Monday Night Football games this week. This is the first one. I hear they're ending these 2 Monday Night Football games. I think next year they're not going to be doing it, which I'm happy about.
I hate it.
It's stupid. And so in this game, this should be a pretty good game. I'm actually really looking forward to this game. I keep going back and forth, and I don't know who. I'm going with the Texans. I like the Buccaneers offense, but they struggle with the Falcons, and I think the Texans defense is tougher. So I'm going to go with the Texans on this one, mostly because it's at home. I would not be surprised if the Bucs won, but if you're going to pick between the two, I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Texans.
I also went with the Texans. I do think it's going to be a close game. The Buccaneers, the last game they won against the Falcons on a Baker Mayfield touchdown pass to Egbuka with a minute left. Last week, the Texans could not get much going offensively at all, and they end up losing to the Rams. C.J. Stroud has a lot to prove in this season. Was his rookie year a fluke, or is he more like how last year was, a second year in the league? So the Texans definitely need to respond to the loss. The Texans are playing at home. I'm satisfied with these slate of primetime games. I think they're all going to be pretty good games, but I do think the Texans are going to win this one. As you were talking, though, it just occurred to me that I remember Stingley, their corner, got hurt, and I have not heard
Okay.
what happened with that. He got hurt in the game.
Okay.
So that could maybe play a little bit of a difference, but
Oh yeah, definitely. He's a great player. All right, Jacob. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites at Vegas. Raiders. Who do you got in this one?
I was surprised at how the Raiders looked last week. You know, they was against the Patriots, who are obviously like a young team and like the new coach, and you know they've got some growing pains and all that stuff. But I was surprised at how good the Raiders looked. And Geno Smith threw for 362 yards in that game.
Yeah.
That is not going to happen this week against the Chargers. I don't see him having the kind of game that he had before. The Raiders are at home, but Justin Herbert really did look elite in week one. He really looked like he, you know, was putting everything together. He was hitting his targets. Quentin Johnson for the Chargers finally learned how to catch the football. You know, just did great things for them. So I think the Chargers are going to win. The spread right now is only 3.5 points favored for the Chargers. I think the Chargers covered that spread.
Yeah. I'm going with the Chargers as well. Getting Keenan Allen back for Justin Herbert is, I think, a really big deal. I think he gives them that nice safety blanket. You got Lab McConkey out there, who's a great receiver too, and like you said, Johnson got his hands back, so he caught the ball, and yeah, Herbert looked good. I mean, I've been a critic of his, like he's getting way too much credit for not really too much production, but he looked really good. So it'll be a good game. I wish Commanders Packers was. I'm excited. I guess I'm excited Thursday Night Football because a lot of times those games aren't something I'm really looking forward to. But that's actually, I'm expecting a pretty good game. Kind of wish just for a game of football that it wasn't like Thursday Night Football, because Thursday Night Football is just watered down or whatever. And the Packers are going to get the advantage that, you know, it's at home on a short week after playing at home.
Right.
And I don't like giving the Packers any advantage.